Are you miserable? Do you just hate people who are happy? Would you like to be happy? Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to talk about how to be happy now. This is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Brandy?
Isn't it interesting how when you're miserable, you just like hate people who are happy and you just want to like take their face and just like shove it into the concrete or something like that?
It is funny, isn't it? Though it's the same thing, dude. Like, I don't know. Have you ever been like like when you're single and you look at people that are like in couples that seem happy, and you're like, oh, this jerk, blah blah. Or like, like, I know that something's definitely wrong at at home when they're not showing it to other people, or like, yeah, it's like we have this tendency to like, see people that have what we think we don't have, and then we get angry for no reason. It's not their fault, you know.
Yeah. Yep. The blessing of envy. So, in this episode, we're each going to give a few quick tips for how to be happy now, not sometime in the future, not when you
Right now.
retire, but actually right now. Maybe by the end of this episode, you might be a little bit happier. So,
That'd be
I,
awesome.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I will go first. My first one is let go of the past. So, a lot of people have all these reasons, like really solid evidence-based reasons why they can't be happy. They're like, I don't have this didn't work out, I did this thing, it does this person would whatever to me. All these different reasons, all this stuff that's in the past dictating why they can't be happy right now.
Yep.
And so first step is just let go of the past. Because if you let go of the past, all of a sudden you're left with right now. And all that stuff, yeah, that got you to where you are right now. But what you do right now, that's going to get you wherever you're going to get to in the future.
I like that one too because what's funny is like as we take care of ourselves and become happier now, we also reinterpret the past. And the past looks very different. It starts to look as a stepping stone to get to now instead of a weight that's holding us down. And I think it's totally right. Like you can't be happy now if you're living in the past. And sometimes you just gotta let it go to move on. Like, yes, that's true. It's what you did, it's who you were, but you have the future and change now. You can make yourself something new, you can be something different, and things don't have to be defined by it. I think that's a really important one that we need to let go of.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you can't, I mean, there's no way to be happy. I suffered from that before in the past, and like you really can't be happy if you don't let go of it.
Yeah, and like multiple people can have very similar experiences. And for one person, it's a reason to be miserable. And for another person, it's a life defining moment, a reason why they'll never be miserable again.
Yeah, it's the crazy thing, right? It's just all perspective and how you interpret it. That's a good one. My first one is, which I think relates very well, is focus on the journey. Like I think we get caught up in, I'll be happy when I get this. I'll be happy when I have $1 million or a billion or whatever it is now. I'll be happy, when I meet that person and blah blah blah. And like we focus so much on the goals and the success markers or metrics rather than actually focusing on what we're doing now and actually like enjoying now for what it is. Like, oh, I get to do this. I get to learn this thing. I get to see where this takes me or try this new thing, just actually being present here instead of focusing on ends.
That's a good one. I when you mentioned like focus on the journey, it reminded me of when I went on some canoe trips when I was younger. Because like I used to enjoy that because they were a lot of fun. It was
Yeah.
like part of the journey. But like the journey was, you would get in the canoe and a lot of canoes would tip, and then you would have to go around like
Crashing to the
difficult
side.
areas. You would stop, you would have lunch, all this different stuff. And it made me think that like a lot of stuff in life, I'm just trying to get to the end. And like it's like with
Yeah.
that canoe trip, if my goal is just to get to the end, why didn't I just drive to the end? Like why did I bother getting in the canoe? So it is a really good thing to focus on the journey.
It is funny because, like, I think most of us will notice when we do that, like, that's the stuff we enjoy most when we enjoy the process of something. It's funny. Like, I remember I used to go golfing with my dad when I was younger, and I don't particularly like love golfing, but I used to love it because it was a chance for us to go walk around for a few hours and chat outside. And it was just nice out. Like, I enjoyed that so much that it was like the activity didn't matter almost. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's
Hmm.
it's it's fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. So my second one for how to be happy now is have faith in the future. So like by have faith in the future, I mean like trust in the future. Trust that it'll work out. And the reason that I say that is because a lot of times we can't be happy now because we're so worried about the future. Like me worrying about some future thing right now is going to
Yeah.
actually impact the future in a positive way. Doubtful. But we make our lives miserable and we make ourselves miserable because we want something to be some way in the future that isn't going to happen until the future. So, yeah. by
No, that one,
trusting in the future. That way you can just kind of let go, be like, hey, it'll work out. And then I'll just be here.
you know what I like about that one too is that the phrasing, the trusting in the future. It just, I don't know, when you said it now, it just reminded me too, like, if I do what I'm supposed to do now, I can trust that it's going to work out. That's it. I don't need to worry about it, stress about it. And it's so true, dude. If we focus on like, if we stress about those things, it doesn't improve the situation now. It doesn't help us. It actually makes it harder to get things done, to do what we're supposed to do. So if we just trust it'll work out, I mean, what's there, to disprove that? Because everything we've ever done usually works out. So it's like,
And also, when whatever happens in the future, you're going to be there with all your resources at your
yeah,
disposal,
yeah.
and you've been able to handle everything that you've encountered so far in your life. So you'll be able to handle that too.
Isn't that funny? It's like the thing we always do is like we imagine these things and we imagine ourselves in a situation where we don't have any of the stuff we've learned. Like you know what I mean? It's so weird. Like I remember feeling that way when I was like, I gotta find a new career and start over. But I spent all this time doing this and it's gonna be starting over. And it's like, but you're not starting over. You've been alive for this long. So you have all these skills and abilities, it's like it's funny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird. That's a good one though. My second one is stop looking outside and make self-comparisons. And this is like one of the most helpful things for improving your mental health and happiness now, which is stop looking at other people and evaluating yourself based on that because there's always people better than you. There's always people that are more experienced. And if you're trying to do something, there's always going to be people that are doing it better. But you don't know their whole story. So look at your own life. Look at like, have I advanced in the last 6 months, the last year? Where was I 5 years ago? Is now a better place than I was then? And it's much easier to see your progress, to see that you're doing well when you make actual comparisons that are justifiable and matter, namely against your own life. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you compare with other people, generally you're only comparing one aspect of that person. You're not
Yeah.
saying like, oh, I want to have their body and their relationships and their mental capacity and their celiac disease and all this other stuff that they have. It's like you're like, I want that person's six pack and I want that person's wealth and I want that person's Instagram photos. And it's just like totally unrealistic.
Yeah. You need to look at the whole person, and the only way you can do that is by looking at yourself, right? And I think that's the easiest way. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you look at the whole individual, like one of the things that I've like doing is reading biographies because it's kind of eye-opening. Like all these successes, you start to see like the absolute trauma and crazy stuff they had to go through in order to get where they were. And it's kind of like, you know what? If I don't have to go through that stuff, I don't mind not being a success like them. Really not that bad.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I was watching. What was it? It might have been The Dirt or something. I'm like, I don't know, one of those musician things. But they were saying too. They were saying like because they got addicted to like I think it was like drugs, some drugs like heroin or cocaine or something. During when they were performing, the guy was like, he's like when you're famous and you're making lots of people money, he's like people just give you that stuff because they want you to go make money. And it's like you don't even realize they're using you like the whole time. And it's like yeah, we don't see all that all the time. So we think, yeah, they must be great, but we're not seeing the whole life. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And talking, okay, so this is a little bit of an aside,
That's
but
okay. Let's
talking
digress.
about, so like last week we did an episode on money and like how everybody thinks that like success and happiness in life comes down to how much money you make. Well, I just read this book called Die with Zero that actually it's completely inefficient to die with any money left on the table. And so, like, all these people, these freaking giant dinosaurs of wealth, like Bill Gates and Elon Musk, even though we think they're insanely successful because of all the money they've accumulated, from an engineering efficiency standpoint, they're the least efficient individuals on the planet,
Yeah,
like
because
the
they're just
biggest
collecting.
losers on the
Yeah,
planet.
because they're just
Yeah.
collecting crap and not using it. Like, it's funny, like you can't take that crap with you when you die. So having 300 billion and like, don't get me wrong, I get if your kids or whatever wanting to leave a little bit behind for them, whatever, that's fine. But like,
So that you
they
can
have,
have entitled little millionaire
yeah,
brats.
yeah,
For,
right. No,
yeah,
I don't mean
right.
billions. I mean like any normal person leaving something. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, having hundreds of billions of dollars just left over, it's like it doesn't do anything for anybody. You can't take it with you, and you're not using it. They're so focused on having the most, they're not even living their lives.
Hmm.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a very interesting book. Yeah.
that's cool to check that
So
out.
yeah. So my last one for how to be happy now is love what you have now. So this is like the craziest exercise because of how insanely well it works at changing my attitude almost instantaneously. So like when I remember to do this, I just stop wherever I am, like in my room or outside or wherever it is. And I just take a look around and I notice like all the things that are really awesome right now, like these things that I wanted so badly for so long, and now I have them, or these things that I
Yeah.
think are really cool and they're there, or these like just being able to see stuff like these beautiful colors and plants and birds and all this stuff. And just like all of a sudden, like in a moment,
Yeah.
completely changes my mindset.
Dude, like the small delights, that thing was so great because like just remind yourself of all the little pleasurable things each day that do happen that we're not aware of normally because we don't take notice, you know? And it's funny, like I like that exercise too, because like that can be so helpful. I remember when I was really depressed, like that was helpful because like there was days where I was like, hey, at least I got out of bed today, you know? And I was like, that was a win. And it's like, it
Mm-hmm.
just depends on what you're doing, but like you can always find that little silver lining, those good things to actually love about life and be happy about and to kind of celebrate. And it makes it just better now. It's a good one. My last one is, and this one's kind of hard, but know what you actually need. So this is hard because it means knowing what you value, what actually matters to you, where you want to go, but like kind of getting clear about like, what do I want out of this life? What do I really need? And can I start focusing on that instead of, because I think a lot of us too, we get so caught up in like, I need to get this thing and that thing and that thing. I want to do this, 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 but we don't really do anything. And we end up getting all this stuff that we don't use, and it's depressing. And it's better to focus and actually have stuff we use that we need and to kind of know what we actually value to align our lives right with ourselves.
Yeah, that's a great one because it's probably a lot simpler than a lot of us think. Like we
Probably.
think we have
Yeah.
to get all these ducks in a row in order to do it, but generally it's just a few things and doing those few things, and that's probably it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it in a nutshell. I hope you're happier already. How to be happy now. So
You should
simple.
be.
Why aren't you happy already? Jeez, what's wrong with
Come
you?
on, man. Be happy.
Yeah. Don't worry, be happy. Is that do we have to pay royalties because I just said
I don't
that?
think so. I think we're okay.
All right. Well, anyways, uh, if you enjoyed the episode, go ahead, give us a like on Apple Podcasts. Helps out so much. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, man.